Okay. All right, call the meeting to order. Consider any agenda items. Are there any? Nope. No agenda items. Moving on to minutes. Food regular meeting minutes of August 15th, 2023. Okay, approved as written. I'll second. Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes of August 16th, say aye. Aye. Aye.
I abstain.
Extension. Moving on to check register approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the register.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Questions, I don't remember if I had, how did the bonds work? I just saw is that a monthly thing? Or
So, yeah, we make monthly payments either to like a holding or escrow account.
Before I get.
That we're paid, to me annually,
Okay.
or, the water and sewer, we have a bond that we pay annually.
So they're not on this every month, then that's correct.
You would see them every month
Oh, you do?
because I pay them to, a union bank account.
Oh,
We
and then it gets.
hold it in a union bank account for water, sewer and some others.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the check register, say aye.
Aye.
Let's have it. Next, state revolving loan fund application.
So you probably saw in the memo, it's a little convoluted. So we told you, with Jersey Heights, that we went through this whole qualified based hiring thing, so we can get half the engineering money. And the only way we get the engineering money is if we apply to be included in a revolving loan fund at the state level, which we could then decide to do for the construction project if it's beneficial to our ratepayers. If they offer this a 0% interest loan, time value of money, we should take the loan and pay it off over time, right? If they don't, and we want to use our own funds straight out of the sewer allocation funds, we would want to do that. So by applying, we automatically get the 50% engineering money. We're not obligated to take a loan. So what we're looking for is authorization to apply for the loan. Your names all have to be included on the form as having voted for it, which is why we brought it here.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve and authorize management to apply for Vermont Water Infrastructure Revolving Loan Fund to support the rebuilding of the Jersey Heights pump station.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded. Any discussion? None. All in favor of approving the state loan fund application, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to cash flow management.
So last time we brought a couple of additional items to you to kind of warm me up to what we were thinking about here. So I won't go through the whole history again. We've talked about it now, I think 3 times. So essentially we're looking for a couple motions, and I'm happy to go back and talk about the wherefore and why again, if it's helpful. One is to use the Green River Fund as a way to hold those funds that we spend on electric and hydro for FEMA, to use those funds while we wait for reimbursement. And then the second is to apply for a construction loan for the hydro rebuild in Cadiz Falls, and we'll convert that to permanent debt, which has always been the plan anyway. So there's 2 separate motions in there. I don't mind, we can go back and talk about the wherefore and why. I don't want to just make you listen to me talk for 20 minutes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to authorize management to utilize funds within the Green River Fund, pay for the expenditures created by the flood of 2023, with the intent that once FEMA reimbursement is received, the FEMA funds will be restored to this fund.
Second.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the cash flow? Is it the cash flow management authorization,
This is specifically the Green River Fund. Yeah.
the Green River Fund? Part 1, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have it.
Okay, I'd like to make another motion to authorize management to open a construction loan to support the rebuilding of the vertical turbine at Cadiz Falls. The intention is that once the rebuild is completed and the final cost is defined, the construction bond will be replaced by appropriate long-term debt for this rebuild project.
I'll,
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Only thing I was gonna ask is, we have these 4 different efforts, is there a way to kind of, kind of define the amount of money and ranges? I know it's not just $1 amount necessarily, but just kind of, we're doing this.
So the plan is, in the last meeting, we laid out the reporting we're gonna do for you. Within each of the 4 categories.
Yeah.
So you'll start seeing reports from us on how much is available to us, how much of it we've spent. And that the information we shared with you last time. So that's the plan for that on all 4 accounts.
But if you're looking for total, I mean, and I think we're gonna get to it, like some of the FEMA is now a lot higher.
Yeah.
The Katie's Falls vertical unit, you don't know what the actual cost of rebuild
Yeah,
is,
million.
we had. Yeah, we had, oh, did we get it?
Huh?
Did we get it? But they've done the tear down, which we approved in the budget.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we don't have all of the data yet, but we
No,
will
we
get
don't.
it.
No, that's fine, I'd forgotten about the conversation of the reporting.
Yeah. No, that's why we put that in there, so.
All in favor of approving the cash flow management authorization part 2, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to lien 81 Mansfield View Road, Vermont authorization.
So this is placing a lien on this property for lack of payment. And we've made customary efforts to try to collect, and you can tell me more about that if you want to know more. But so we're just looking for authorization to place a lien.
Okay, I make a motion to authorize management to place a lien on 81 Mansfield View Road, Stowe, owned by Elizabeth Barrett, in the amount of $458.08.
Just to clarify, 48508. You
485.
said 58, do you have the document?
485.08.
Oh, I should have here too. This is the number I was given.
He just transposed the number, is all.
Or maybe I transposed it. So let me find it, just take a breath, let me find it.
It's fine.
Construction work?
I have 48508.
He's just said 458.
Oh,
He actually
okay.
did the motion.
That's fine, all right, sorry.
Basically, we had a call out, there was I believe there was something going on and it was a call out job and then.
So they've been paying the electric bill, they just haven't paid for repairs. Okay.
Did anyone second it? I got confused.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you.
Any discussion?
How long does the lien, it stays indefinitely, right?
Well, it's paid.
But there's not some point you say, well, we're gonna do something else or.
Not
Electricity. or-
usually, depending on how hot big it is, I know we've had some and then and the reason I wanted to get this taken care of is I know she's in the process of potentially trying to sell it, and once it's attached there, then the new owners have to, pay for it. If you don't need me, I just try calling Linda. To see if she has the paperwork at her desk or something.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw the paper.
No, I know,
I got
it's
the
fine.
numbers in an email.
Yeah, I know.
So if you want to try to call her, go ahead, get it pop up. It's fine. Because we need you to sign something, so we can keep going. She doesn't need to call Linda for you to keep the meeting going.
Can we approve it then?
Yeah, she just has to find the paperwork, so you don't have to come back to sign it out.
So we have to sign something for this.
For the lien.
Okay, we'll sign that tonight and
If she can get Linda to tell her where the file is. So otherwise, we'll have to chase you down to the signatures later. So
everybody has to sign?
I forget, and at least 3 of you do.
Okay.
Doesn't take, no, just has to.
No, it's just one, Brad isn't here.
Yeah.
Well, Brad's there, but he's not here.
Any other discussion? All right, and then, all in favor of the lien on 81 Mansfield View Road, Stowe, Vermont, say aye.
Aye.
Other business.
FEMA? Good, okay, so we had our kickoff meeting with the FEMA crew. They had 5 people in this room live with us and 2 people on the phone, so. The leaders are all from down south, Alabama, Mississippi, so this is their career. So they're very knowledgeable. I do believe, and I think Penny would agree if she was in the room, that though, but Kevin was also in the room, so he probably they definitely sound like they'll go to bat for us. We asked a lot of questions. They're like, well, let me see if I can get that for you, you know, so. They weren't like argumentative trying to battle us into a box. They were like, oh, we hear your argument. Here's what we understand the rules to be. Let us see if we can get the rules changed. So they were very helpful for us. At all turns, they thought our numbers were too small. We originally thought we were under $1 million. They said that's too little. And I think when I wrote this memo a week and a half ago, we were at $1.4 million. They'd gone out and done an inspection the same day with Kevin and said, your numbers are way too low. And part of it is because what I wrote about in here is most of our damages are debris related, because gravel deposits are considered debris, which I think is weird, but it is. And all debris removal, even if you do it 9 months later, is considered emergency. And if you're gonna remove emergency debris, if you use your own staff, you're not eligible to get regular time reimbursed. So therefore, you have to hire contractors or not get reimbursed. So the reason they say, look, you know, your numbers are too low, so they know the rules. So our current working number is like around 3.4 million between the water system and the hydro dams and the electric system. I can't fathom how we could get to that number. But based on their guidance, I mean, they're basically said, look, it's gonna be harder, numbers can move. Numbers can theoretically move up, it's harder to move up than to come in low. So basically their guidance was, find a way to put a really high number out there. And then you don't have to worry about coming back down. So our current working number with them is around 3.4. I forget the precise number, but it's something like that. I can't fathom how it could be over 2 million. There's no way my mind can wrap around having seen the damage. But I mean, he's the one that took the hit from him. He was walking around for a half a day with them and they just kept telling him, your numbers are too low, your numbers are too low, your numbers are too low. You gotta get them to change the numbers. So that's the number we have in there. Penny is working with them because in Winter Storm Elliott, we did get relief on this emergency piece to be able to claim our regular time. And the guy with the flood wasn't aware of the way to do that. So Penny has hooked him up with that information. We don't have an answer yet, but it's possible we'll get relief and our crews can do some of the work and save money. And I looked right at him and said, so, you know, if we can't use our crews because you won't reimburse us and we do everything with contractors, you're talking about like double the cost. They're like, yeah, that's why your numbers are too low. It's like, well, why would you force us to spend more money? It just
Do they sample the material before disposal or anything? Could you run the hazardous waste disposal costs?
basically, they're really clear that we own the chain of authority on the materials. So if we have any reason to believe there's any hazardous material in there, we need to be sampling. A lot of this is just gravel deposits, you know, so we're not gonna be too worried about it. But if we come into anything where we're like, well, there's a whole mixture of stuff in there, we'll be pulling samples. Because we have to tell them where we got it from, if it had any interim home to dewater or something, and where final disposal is of all the material that we move. We have to have that chain of command for all of it. So that if something ever comes up in the future, they can go look at that material and find out what was in it. Later, after the fact.
So how many thousand yards of material you talking?
We're probably, big if, but if we do all things currently contemplated, there's one big project we're thinking about not doing. I would put it in the 25,000 yards range.
That you have to keep track of?
Yeah.
Where it is?
Yeah, so now 10 to 15 of that, we're not sure we're gonna ever put back. Immediately behind the Morrisville Dam, there was 10 to 15,000 yards of material that washed away. And it washed away down to bedrock. If we really are seeing these floods on a more frequent basis, putting soil back in there is just gonna wash away again next time.
It looks like it's all on the other side of the dam. There's a big island there, a big sand island.
Yeah, but you couldn't have jumped upriver. So that all washed downriver from probably the oxbow. That's where all the material from the oxbow went,
Okay.
right? That's probably what's sitting there. We're gonna dredge all that out. We are gonna put whatever we dredge out into that space that washed out. But it probably won't be 10 or 15,000 yards. We also have to build another road to get access to the backside of the dam. We have had an engineer look at the dam to see if that earthen mass had anything to do with dam stability. And the engineer said no. This dam is rock solid, doesn't need soil behind it. So we're currently trending towards being disinclined to purposefully put 100% of everything back in. We gotta get rid of the material that's gonna come from the front side of the dam, so why not put it right there? We're allowed to. But beyond that, we're not really thinking currently about bringing more in, though we budgeted the money to do it, because again, they're telling us have a high upset limit, not the other way around, don't be low, be high. We have like $400,000 in the budget to refill that hole, basically right now, and we'll have to spend some of that, because we gotta rebuild that access point back to the backside of the dam. But we haven't made that decision yet. So, but it's a pretty significant amount of soil to keep track of, to your point. And then we've got to clear out both of the tail races, Katie's and Morrisville. Those are both full to the top of the tail races, and what did John say, they're like 20 feet deep?
Morrisville is 20 feet deep, 40 feet wide, and 60 feet long.
And Katie's is at least similar, it might be a little smaller, but
No,
we gotta dredge those out too. And those will either, the Morrisville one, we put again in the same hole. The one at Katie's, we had a similar loss of much smaller, maybe 500 yards or 1,000 yards, I don't even know, but around the dam at Katie's Falls, we had a whole bunch of topsoil wash away, and it's now all just ledge. And it has no purpose for the dam, so, but we could, anything we take out of the tail race, we could put up there first to de-water and then spread with a dozer and be done with it. So that's our current plan, is to only fill in the areas where, you know, basically where the material we have to remove anyway out of the dam, to have them function again. Do that and only that is what we're currently thinking.
What about Green River? Is there any damage
There's
there?
no damage there, there's a washout on the road, which I know Kevin's getting prices on to get some gravel up there. And the buoys came apart, but we didn't lose them. The buoys on the other two dams are somewhere in Lake Champlain or along the way to Lake Champlain. We have no idea where they are, so he's ordered new buoy sets for those. The one up at Green River, he literally got in his kayak and paddled out there and strung them back together. Didn't manage not to go over the dam, which was nice. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so,
it's gonna kill me one way or another.
yeah, so, but really nothing else up there amazing,
Yeah.
you know, so pretty good. What else on FEMA process? Anything for you from that call, or you were both on it, but
No, just the emphasis on get the numbers up. Every site we went to is like,
the only thing I would add is just if we're gonna do contractors with everything, I know I've been saying like 4 to 6 months. I'm saying more like 6 to 9 months now to get everything done, because I don't know, we've got at least a dozen requests for proposals to put out, maybe 15 or 17. Because different projects have to be all put out separately. Some of them can just be quotes, but still require documentation. Some might actually require full RFPs. You know, and you're looking at the team with Dave, like, it's not like we got a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands to pull together RFPs, but this is the FEMA process you gotta follow, so you gotta use contractors because you can't get
There's
reimbursed.
no time limit, there's like, once you get it, then you have to use it, or?
There is a time that it is a year,
It's a year, but we can.
but we get extensions, so,
So we can talk about that.
so yeah. We're learning more though.
Is there any resources you've used in the past that could help, you know, some engineer or somebody that we consulted with, or?
there's quite a few out there, but they are neck deep running for the finish line as summer comes to an end, so.
Yeah.
And the other thing we have
The
to
good thing, bad thing, I don't know, the fact that we just went through Storm Elliott is, it was a different, PDMG or whatever his title is. So again, we were able to get just pretty much everything reimbursed, so that's the angle I'm going with the flood. Manager is, hey, well, why can't we get this reimbursed? And I did send him another email, I haven't heard back.
Yeah, the other thing on the finding the engineers, Carl, is, you know, they're also very clear, like, the fact we have a system engineer for this, that, or the other thing doesn't matter. You gotta go through a whole RFP process to pick an engineer. So it's just,
But don't get me wrong, we're questioning every step of the way, like, I don't take that, we have to do this, or recommend this, or, so.
yeah, I'm giving you the worst case scenarios, we're very good at pushing back. So we're gonna be in this business for quite a while, that's the point. So we'll keep updating you, like, the only other thing I would say on FEMA processes, I think you essentially got everything in for Winter Storm Elliott, right? Just by way of update.
Yep,
We have not got, so separate out the horizontal for a minute, that's a different issue, but everything else is in, right?
everything else is in, and they've asked us a bunch of questions, so those have all been answered as of late last week. I haven't heard anything more.
So, and the horizontal repairs, the turbine at Katie's were set up as a separate project, with them, because they knew it would take longer. We're really running out of time, FEMA's been very patient with us, getting an answer to the question of, we still haven't been able to prove that any linkage to the storm. And the last hope was this electrical analysis, which we just can't seem to get them to be responsive. They've done the analysis, we just don't have the results. And so we can't say anything to FEMA until we get the results. So Kevin chases them every day, says, where's our stuff? We're running out of time, FEMA's gonna pull the plug. You gotta be responsive to us, and so he's chasing them every day. On that. So that's the FEMA update, unless there's any other questions.
Go to management update then.
Great, Kevin, you wanna go first?
Throughout all the devastation and destruction, there were a few bright spots. Katie's Falls, the rack rake works fine. There was no damage to it. As it came over, the fencing at the front is about 5 feet high, but then we had the penstock empty. We had the gates closed, so all the water went down the penstock and out the surge tank. So it didn't get into the electronics of the rack rake. So that's some good news. And at Morrisville, the electrical service has been restored to the gatehouse. The gate valve drives are good. The boys were able to close the gate for the big unit, the 11-foot penstock, and John and Mike got in there yesterday, and it's clean. I don't know if I've even told you that.
No, you
There's
didn't.
nothing in it.
Good,
So there's
so once we dredge, we're good,
a huge
that's amazing.
unknown, but we inflated the bladder, that held well. But the compressor took a digger during that, so we've got to get that redone. And other than that, it's just been crawling through what we've got and finding. I think we're at the end of what we need to find, it's bad or not, so.
Sounds like plenty.
Yeah,
On the electric system, I say there's a ton of customer work. They're still going back around to do some of the last removal of trees and stuff from the floods. So they've been doing that work the last few weeks, a lot of planned outages, 20 minutes here, 10 minutes here. So they turned into 2 hours on one because they couldn't figure out why power didn't come back on after they did it, but they finally figured it out. So a lot of that sort of stuff's in normal training that they have to do, like they had an all-day CPR training for the line for really useful for them and necessary. So a lot of that kind of work for nothing remarkable, all just normal stuff, getting ready. I will say that, only because we certainly badmouth the fact we couldn't get any any tree cutting done last year. The company's been amazing this year. So we've had really good luck with our tree cutter this year, and they're just plugging right along, getting vegetation taken care of on our system. So that'll be good. So that should be an every year thing. So.
I got a question, and just talk to somebody about it. I know that like the sewer line from the main to your house, you're responsible, the customer's responsible for that. Now, what about the power line that goes to your house to the main, like is that still the customer's responsibility as far as like if they want to do their own trimming or something like that? I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's right. We still have rights over that, but
aerially, we own to the point of attachment of the house. So any trimming on that line, we would be responsible for.
Yeah, you guys have been out to my house and trimmed stuff.
I'm sorry?
You guys have been out to my house and trimmed stuff over the years. Yeah.
Would you need to notify, I mean, do they need to be
They
notified?
need to let us know.
Or be more like if we're
If
trimming?
we notice it ourselves, of course, we put it on the list, but we're not gonna normally notice that there's a limb on the line in someone's house.
Yeah.
So they should call us. If you know anybody, they should let us know.
There's been secondary lines, it's been on, like, to your point, quite a taxes that we have not trimmed, so I don't know exactly, I mean, I've heard.
I mean, yeah, like Scott said, we don't see
No,
everyone.
but I've heard plenty of times customers have called in asking for us to trim, and we're like, no, we don't do that there. So I don't know exactly what the guidelines were, I thought it was to the meter.
Let's let us take that as an action item.
Yeah, And sometimes like the meter might be out on a pole on the road, so I don't know if that's an act,
Yeah.
and I'm going by just some history and hearing things because
Good
customers get mad.
enough too, if it's buried, like mine's buried from the pole.
Yeah.
And then if somebody, if I dug or somebody dug on my property,
And
where
that's definitely your
it
responsibility.
is, okay.
Yeah.
Where's your meter on the pole?
I think it's on the pole.
Usually if the pole's out the road, then it's all yours behind the meter. And if the meter's at the pole road, then you usually own it, because you'll definitely own on your side of the meter. And Kevin's talking about aerial, we haven't got to the meter yet. And that's what we'll clarify. I thought the same thing as you, but it's different. It's interesting how variable this is across systems. You'd think there'd be one rule, and there's not.
Okay.
So,
I had a couple of them come down a long time ago, before the wire run off my house. And the only thing that was holding the wire from falling on the street was a tree.
mhm,
And they said, you know, it was my responsibility to trim the tree.
all right,
Anyways, fast forward about another 10 years, they put the sewer line in and they killed all the roots of the tree, killed the tree. And the tree was leaning right towards their transformers, your transformers. So then they agreed to cut the tree down.
And I do think it makes a difference on whether it's gonna take out a main line and a service line, but
Well,
yeah. no,
Whatever, but they did come and take the tree down.
all right.
Yeah.
Let's get clarification on this, for the next time, so that we can make sure we're clear on this, all of us. So, that'll be good.
Any other update?
I don't really have a lot other than I've been working on, the rate case refunding. I think we reported previously, it's about $178,000. We had to submit a plan to the PUC last Thursday about how we were going to do it. And we have about 183 and 137, so just under a few hundred customers that have filed their accounts since between the time that we started that 11.25%. I've tried to get a waiver of not having to refund anything less than $3 for people that are no longer have active accounts with us. And right now the DPS sounds like they're on board. They just want us to quantify what we're gonna do with that $137 that we're not gonna spend on refunding. And then the only other thing is, Kevin and I sat in on a conference call or Zoom call with the state regarding the service line inventory loan application. If the EPA is requiring that we do an inventory of our lead and copper service lines, and they actually are gonna give us some loan money, potentially grant money. Kind of like that GPS and loans.
Like 40 grand or something?
It's, actually, this one is going to be up to $55 per service line. It's in the neighborhood of 55 to 60,000. I think to date, John has spent in the neighborhood of 22,000-ish. But we did have some questions on, they needed some additional information, and I provided. And yeah, pretty much it. Okay.
Just to add to the Rockart one thing that was in the packet, Rockart has signed the contract with us now, so both sides of that grant agreement are in place. I'll still Rockart with us, which we required. So I was thinking that Rockart was gonna have a hard time swallowing hard enough to sign that agreement, but you pass all the federal and state gobbledygook down to them and. I implored him, like, just don't let this scare you, we have no choice, it doesn't apply to you, but we have no choice, we're required to pass it, so. So he did, he signed it, which is good, so that can all move
Was
forward.
this an additional one or is this?
It's the one that we had the event for, it took this long to get contracts together. Couple other things just that have come up, I would just say, just an IRP, quick update. And I spent a couple hours this morning with UPSA staff here going through all the capital stacks, IRPs, not IRPs, capital stacks and financials and all the projections of all that go in the IRP. So that's coming along, that piece is coming along, a couple of the chapters are done, the transmission distribution chapter's done. There's one more that's done as a draft, so that's coming together, we now have till October to submit it, and they know that there's no way the state's gonna give them another extension, so. And the last extension, we were supposed to submit it a couple weeks ago. They kind of blame the flooding, but it really was that they have so many rate cases going on at VEPSA that they couldn't get it done. So, and the state didn't argue, right now you can say flood to anything, and the state's like, oh, okay. And so they played that card, and so they got a little bit more time, so that's moving along, is the point, it's all coming together, getting to anyway, we'll see. We also got our notification, well, a few weeks ago now, that for Green River Dam, we have our 3-year inspection coming. It's called a 12D inspection. This will be the 9th one. And so it's another safety inspection. So next year in 2024, get this. So the state will have their contractor GEI with the state money inspect that dam in detail with a whole ton of, 350 grand. We'll have to then have our contractor, HL Turner, both review what GEI did, but then fill in all the gaps of what the state didn't want to pay for. So HL Turner will be there, and then this 12D inspection, HL Turner is not eligible to do it because they did the last 2 for us. So we'll have to have a 3rd engineer do a full inspection of the Green River Dam next year and the dike. So it's going to be the most inspected facility in the United States of America in 2024. And of course, we get to pay for 2 of those. The state's paying for the 3rd one, but it's just, we wonder why we're bankrupt in this country. It's just like, I don't know what to tell you. The requirement to do, and I even tried to say, like, you understand that HL Turner is our FERC engineer for the relationship process. Yes. You understand, I know they've done the last 2. Is there any way to get a waiver? Because they're gonna be inspecting this thing anyway. Nope, there's no way to get a waiver. They did the
Who's
last.
paying this? The state or FERC?
FERC.
A different division of.
A different division of FERC, like, no, our division follows our rules, their division follows their rules. So it's just the federal government, so just wanted to alert you that. I don't know what that's gonna cost us, we'll start figuring it out, so.
That's what they do, filing an appeal.
Yeah, so, wanted you to be aware. And then lastly, I heard from, the select board's admin assistant. That I don't think they're coming on the 20th like we were originally talking, because too many of them dropped out. So they're now looking to try to schedule something, a joint meeting, with you all in the last half of October. So I'll send you out a little meeting thing tomorrow, for you to all kind of respond to see what, what nights on those last 2 weeks of October you might be available. I mentioned to Judy that I thought that there was great interest from the trustee side in that they of course like to meet, they find value in the joint meetings. Said, I've never been part of one, but my understanding from the trustees is that they saw even more value when they were all breaking bread together. And that I thought there was interest in that from the trustees. And, and I said, I understand one of your current select board members has been adamantly opposed to that, so the trustees will get it if the select board doesn't want to do it. But I just want you to know that I put that on the table because I've heard many of you talk about how helpful it was to have that sort of opportunity. So just for what it's worth.
Well, the last time we did have a meeting, that select board member wasn't on the select board and she was. Didn't like our meeting.
Right, so, the other thing that was said to me by Judy was that the purpose of the meeting, and I said, well, we're gonna have a different reason to meet then. Was for the two boards to review upcoming zoning changes, and I said, well, we don't even have a heads up that any zoning changes are coming. So, you know, I don't see how we're gonna be ready to have a joint meeting with the select board in October, when we haven't even been informed that there's changes coming, for us to review.
I've been to some planning board meetings.
I know they're working on it.
And some of the stuff. I don't know how to ever enforce it.
I know.
And
I also don't know why we wanna basically change our local code to match the state code, which is part of what they're trying to do
well,
with this new
part of that I
law.
understand, because our definition is kind of unclear. And the state definition is clear.
But a lot of the state stuff expires in 2 years. So why are we changing our zoning code for something that's gonna expire?
Okay, well, I didn't know. But, I mean, as far as the state's new. I'm not gonna say restriction, mandates that you can't build single family houses.
Right.
And areas that are served by water and sewer, I mean, that kind of stuff, I guess we have to,
It expires in a couple of years.
that expires, okay. I didn't realize.
So I don't know, I've said to Todd,
So if we don't do it, we just.
why are you trying to codify this for a couple of years? Why don't you wait and see if they then take the sunset off? And if they take it off, well, then we should, of course, come
So
to
if we're-
performance.
Both boards have to approve it, so.
Right. So my request to Judy to share with the select board was, my sense was, of course, we can talk about zoning such as it is at the time, but I thought you'd be more interested in a more wide-ranging topical exchange. I know they wanna talk to you about the 1% tax and moving village boundaries, so there's that, there's zoning. Between now and then, are there a couple of other items that would be good for you all to jam on? So I told her I thought to flesh out with the select board if they're open to a wider ranging agenda for that meeting, and she actually thought that was a good idea. I don't know how much sway she has with select board, but for what it's worth, so I'll send you a note out just to try to get your calendar availability and see how many people we can get to share some dates with them. Okay? And we'll let you, the that's come up.
And it will be at the country club.
We can pay for our own,
Yeah.
Who treated last time, the select board or the trustees?
No, I wasn't
I
here.
thought it was the select,
I feel like it's a select board, so. but-
so it's our turn this time.
I mean, we could pick.
So if that select board thing doesn't wanna come,
So,
doesn't have.
They'll talk about it at their next meeting. That's basically what's gonna happen. So we'll see what comes out of that. Just wanted to let you know.
All right, the other business.
I'll be out of town for next meeting, I don't know if that's other business or not, but.
I would authorize Carl to be on and say aye.
You can be quiet if you want, but.
Won't change the outcome.
Is there any public comment? Anybody on,
No.
okay, did you want to go into executive session?
For two items, both legal and human resources, and we can get the right ESA sections in the minutes when we can get that. So the motion will be to executive session for both legal and human resources. And if these guys want to, be happy for them to stay for the legal discussion and then not for the human resources. Then so we do legal first.
All in favor of going to the executive session at 6:09? Say aye.
We'll just put Bob and Carl down as the mover and seconder.
Mhm.
You didn't have, that. Okay, so, if that's.
Is it when you adjourn from executive session, you don't even.
Yeah, so that's what I always.
To go in,
I always been told.
to go in,
To go out, you
but
down.
come out, you can do it by
Technically, yeah,
acclamation.
you just can come out.
Yeah, I can do it by acclamation.
Get your recording on.
Yeah, let me take the recording off. One.
Coming out of it, make a motion, come out of the executive session.
Second.
Okay, we're out of executive session as 6:21.
The motion now?
Yeah, your motion for,
Sure, we'll make a motion to approve management's, bonus for, what was it, flood relief efforts?
Second.
motion is made, seconded, any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion passed.
Nothing to adjourn.
Motion been made, seconded,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Gentlemen.
Brad.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You later.
Have a good